You know what the experts say. They say MS can't be reversed. They say diets like mine don't work. But here's the truth. I'm living proof they're wrong. This is how I used one meal a day, training, and consistency to conquer MS. And you can take these same principles and explore how they might apply in your own fight against MS.
That disconnect isn't surprising. Neurologists are trained to follow clinical guidelines. And right now, there are no large, long-term trials on one meal a day diets and MS. What they do have are general recommendations: balanced nutrition, regular meals, avoid extremes. Those guidelines aren't wrong, they're just broad. But here's the gap. You've lived an experiment that science hasn't fully caught up to yet.
This is the one thing that neurologists don't agree with me on. But all of you, my community, have stood with me. Neurologists will nod politely, then tell me, make sure you eat the 3 balanced meals a day. And I leave the office thinking, but I've seen the results firsthand.
Here's why OMAD makes sense from a biological perspective. When you compress eating into a single window, you spend more hours in a fasted state. Fasting drops insulin levels. It quiets glucose spikes. That alone lowers inflammatory signaling. It also triggers autophagy, the cellular cleanup process. And in MS, where damaged myelin leaves behind debris, more cleanup means less immune irritation. Animal studies show that fasting mimicking diets reduce demyelination and promote remyelination. Human data is still early, but the mechanisms line up with what you felt. And there's another layer here. Fasting works as a hormetic stressor, meaning a short-term, controlled stress that trains your body to adapt and grow stronger. It's like exercise for your cells. By stretching the fasting window through OMAD, you're applying that same principle. The mild stress of longer fasts activates pathways that strengthen repair systems and improve resilience in the nervous system.
Exactly. When I started OMAD, I didn't know if it would help. But what I noticed was simple. My thinking felt clearer. That clarity led me to speculate that inflammation was dropping. I wasn't waking up with the same stiffness, the same fog, the same heaviness. And over time, that reduction gave me the foundation to build strength back, to train harder, to focus on repair.
So why do neurologists push back? Because they're protecting the broadest patient population. They see people with MS who are underweight, who are losing muscle, who might fast but then eat poorly. To them, fasting looks risky. To you, it's been structured, intentional, and combined with nutrient-dense foods and strength training.
And this isn't just theory. It's been my reality. I've done one meal a day for years. Let me see here. Must be going on 7 years. On rest days, I finish eating by 4 a.m. and stay fasted until the next morning. On workout days, I spread it out over a few hours because fueling training is different than fueling recovery. But the principle hasn't changed. Keep inflammation low. Stay in a fasted state as much as possible.
That's an important point. Medical guidelines always lag behind personal breakthroughs. It takes decades for clinical trials, peer review, and institutional approval. But healing doesn't wait for paperwork. You're pioneering something that research may confirm years from now.
And I get it. I understand why they don't endorse it. But I also know this. If I had followed the standard advice, 3 meals, snacks, balance, I'd still be inflamed. I'd still be stuck in the same loop of fatigue and flare-ups. Sometimes you can't wait for consensus. You have to listen to your own body.
It's worth emphasizing. OMAD isn't magic on its own. It worked for you because it was part of a larger system. Weightlifting to drive neuroplasticity. Supplements like niacin and potassium support repair. Consistency with sleep and recovery routines. Together, these pillars created conditions for remyelination. But OMAD gave you the low inflammation baseline that made the rest possible.
And that's the message I want people to hear. Yes, neurologists might disagree. Yes, the research isn't conclusive. But look at the results. I'm walking better. I'm stronger than I've ever been. My inflammation is under control. And OMAD was one of the first things that made that possible.
And remember, there's no one size fits all. Some people thrive on OMAD. Others might need 2 meals. The point isn't the exact number. The point is reducing inflammatory load and giving the body long windows of rest and repair.
So, when someone asks, should I try OMAD for MS? I say this. Don't expect your neurologist to agree. They're gonna play it safe. That's their job. But your job is to listen to your own body. Start slow, pay attention, and see if lowering inflammation through fasting gives you the same foundation it gave me.
And maybe one day, research will catch up. Until then, your story is the proof.
Exactly. That's why I don't preach OMAD as dogma. I preach it as discovery. For me, it was a turning point. It might not be that way for everyone, but if you're living with MS, you deserve to know that this is an option, even if your neurologist doesn't mention it. That's why I keep sharing. Because even if the experts don't agree today, I'm living the results they'll have to reckon with tomorrow. And to me, that's the power of hormesis. What feels like a challenge at first can become the very stress that builds resilience and repair. Make sure to like and subscribe. Until the next video.